now we have sound. Now we have all this stuff. Like, where are we going to do it? Because nobody wanted to do it at their house. Nobody's like, no, I don't want to record at my house. I don't want to, no, we got people over there, blah, blah. And so we were like, where are we going to do this? And I don't even know. I don't even remember. Maybe you do. I don't even remember how we decided to even check with McAllister's. I mean, I know we ate there a lot and everything, but I just don't know how we came up with the idea. Let's ask if we can use that back room or whatever. The only thing I do remember is that they weren't exactly open for it. The only way initially that they agreed to it is we had to buy food afterwards. We had to eat there afterwards, and then they were kind of cool with it. But do you even remember, like, how did we come up with the idea for McAllister's? I don't even remember.
Well, I mean, we had our weekly meetings there before the podcast even became a thing.
Yeah.
So they knew who we were. We had a regular waitress who always, like, would ask us questions, like, what were we doing, that type of stuff.
That's true.
And I remember that. And then we had a couple people who were affiliated with the company who, did eat there, like, every time we had a meeting. And I believe they had the initial conversation with them and then brought it up. But yeah, I mean, I remember some of the ideas were like at the library, the local library, because that's where we shot, Is It Worth It?
Yep.
For our first couple times. And yeah, I mean, everybody was just kind of like, but then it did become a thing where we were either supposed to buy food before renting out the space, at least $50 worth, or get food afterwards. And then it got to the point where, like, the managers at that local McAllister's just liked us so much that every once in a while we wouldn't buy food, and they'd be completely fine with it, and the room would be reserved for us anyway. So, I mean, that's why we always tell people, just be good people, good human beings, and then good things will happen to you.
That's right.
But yeah, that was a very interesting experience, man. Those acoustics were rough because like it's a big conference room. Yeah. Like, I mean, we used to shoot it on a completely different camera that like had to be all the way in the corner and then shoot towards us, like, and at the beginning it was 8 of us, 8 individuals on one podcast. That is absolutely insane.
And a half-hour show. It wasn't like it is now. So there were 8 of us trying to talk in a half-hour show, and we were still trying to fit in all of our segments. We had more segments. We did a film word of the day. We had music. We talked about the music industry. There was so much stuff that these 8 people were trying to fit into a half hour that we were very locked to. We weren't loose like we are now. We didn't just let the conversation flow. We were locked to a rundown, and each person had a segment. Each person had a question. It was so just crazy. Now everybody's doing Zoom kind of stuff. It was episode 171 in 2021. Dominic Burgess was our very first Zoom guest, where we had them on camera for the first time, being able to see the guests. And that was fun. That was interesting because we didn't know how that was going to play out. We didn't know how that was going to be like, wait a minute, is this going to work? How do we edit this? How do we fit this in? Because it's not live. We're not doing it live in the show. We're pre-recording it. And, I mean, that was interesting because we used to, back in the day, the interviews were live during the show. And that was another thing, right? We had to kind of like stay on very much track on our industry news because we had to be out hard at a certain time in time for the interview to start because they were calling in. And so that was very like, we couldn't give much dialogue. We couldn't do much talking because it was just like, here's the headline, here's the story, go, because such and such is calling in 4 minutes and we need to get through it. That was nuts, bro.